I've often wondered why the dominant ideology, the mandatory single thought, is defended by people who never have valid arguments to defend it, and turn a deaf ear to solid and proven arguments. I thought, like many others, that maybe it was just stupidity, but it's not just that. It would be simplistic to say that those who adhere to an unjust ideology simply do not have the capacity to think critically. The reasons are often complex and multidimensional, involving psychological needs, social influences, a lack of training in critical thinking, and emotional dynamics. An ideology is a set of beliefs or doctrines that unites people around a common cause, which can also become dangerous. Ideology means defending a cause at all costs, even if it is not right. When you defend an ideology at all costs, you risk becoming blind to justice and ethics. We justify immoral acts simply because they are consistent with the ideology. The question of why some people adhere to an ideology and defend it even if it is not right is complex and multifaceted. Here are some avenues for reflection, rooted in psychological, social, and cultural aspects. First, the social psychology aspect. The human being has a fundamental need for belonging. Adhering to an ideology can provide a sense of community and shared identity. Then, conformity. Within a group, individuals may conform their opinions and behaviors to those of the group to maintain their membership and avoid ostracism. Cognition. Ideologies offer simplified frameworks for understanding the world, thus reducing cognitive complexity. For some people, it is reassuring to see the world in binary terms of good and evil. Heuristics. Heuristics are mental shortcuts that allow for quick decisions. Ideologies provide ready-made heuristics for judging situations. Education. The level of education and exposure to critical thinking play a crucial role. People who have not been trained to question information and think critically may more easily adopt ideologies uncritically. Critical thinking. A lack of critical thinking skills prevents individuals from seeing the inconsistencies and injustices in an ideology. Emotion. Ideologies can be emotionally satisfying. They can offer a sense of security, justice, or revenge. Emotional identity. Individuals may feel emotionally invested in an ideology, seeing it as an integral part of their personal identity. In the realm of ideology, charismatic leaders and influential peers play a crucial role in shaping and consolidating ideological beliefs. Interestingly, it is often these same leaders who do not really believe in the ideology they propagate. For them, it is just a way to make money, a bit like a guru in a cult. Furthermore, the media and propaganda reinforce ideologies by disseminating simplified and emotionally charged messages. Ideological dogmatism represents a set of rigid and unwavering beliefs, often imposed by an authority or group. The dangers of this phenomenon are numerous and can have profound consequences on society and individuals. Here are some points to consider. Ideological dogmatism tends to stifle critical thinking. By imposing a single worldview and rejecting any contrary idea, it prevents individuals from asking questions, thinking for themselves, and analyzing information objectively. This limits people's ability to make informed decisions and solve problems creatively. Dogmatic ideologies often divide societies into opposing groups. By creating an us versus them mentality, they reinforce social and political conflicts. This polarization can lead to increased tensions, violence, and an inability to find common ground or solutions to social problems. Ideological dogmatism promotes intolerance towards differences in thought, belief, and culture. Individuals who do not conform to established ideological norms can be marginalized, persecuted, even eliminated. This creates a society where diversity and freedom of expression are threatened. A dogmatic ideology is often resistant to change. By clinging to fixed ideas, it prevents adaptation and innovation. In a constantly changing world, this rigidity can lead to economic, social, and technological stagnation, making society unable to respond effectively to new challenges. Ideologically dogmatic regimes and movements often use propaganda to manipulate the masses. By controlling information and spreading biased messages, they shape people's perceptions and beliefs. This manipulation hinders the ability of individuals to access diverse and truthful information, which is crucial for a healthy democracy. History shows that dogmatic ideologies can lead to repression and violence. Examples include totalitarian regimes where dissent is severely punished, and where terror campaigns are waged against opponents. This institutionalized violence results in massive human suffering and the destruction of lives and cultures. Both approaches, relativism versus absolutism, present potential dangers but in opposite directions. Ideological absolutism tends to be exclusive and oppressive, imposing beliefs without regard to justice, while relativism leads to moral fragmentation and paralyzing indecision. In politics, a rigid ideology quickly becomes oppressive if it does not respect the will of the people. Imposing a political ideology can be done in a variety of ways, some more authoritarian than others. Using legislative power to pass laws that reflect and impose the ideology of the ruling party or leader is common practice. For example, laws can be passed to reinforce progressive values, amending the Constitution to incorporate fundamental ideological principles, making those principles more difficult to challenge or change by future governments. Using the media to spread messages that reinforce the government's ideology can include manipulating information, spreading fake news, or using disinformation campaigns. Limiting access to information opposed to the dominant ideology by censoring the media, banning certain books, or restricting internet access. Nationalizing or controlling private media to ensure that they broadcast messages favorable to the ideology in place. In the realm of education and culture, governments may choose to change school curricula to include the teaching of values and principles aligned with their ideology. This may include rewriting history textbooks to favor a particular perspective. In addition, arts funding can play a crucial role, funding cultural productions that promote the dominant ideology and discouraging those that criticize it. Moving on to more direct methods of control, the criminalization of dissent involves the enactment of laws that penalize criticism of the government or its ideology. This may include imposing prison sentences on political opponents. The use of force by law enforcement to suppress demonstrations and opposition movements is another tactic, which can involve arbitrary arrests, police brutality, and intimidation of opponents. In addition, the establishment of mass surveillance systems to monitor and control political opponents and dissidents marks a significant escalation of repressive measures. Manipulation of the electoral process is a tactic often used to ensure the victory of the ruling party. This may include election fraud, where elections are rigged by falsifying results, intimidating voters, or manipulating voter lists. Gerrymandering is another method, which involves redrawing electoral districts to favor the ruling party and diminish the representation of the opposition. In addition, voter suppression is put in place to prevent certain groups, often those perceived as sympathetic to the opposition, from voting. Coalitions and alliances are crucial strategies in the political landscape. Forming coalitions involves allying with other political parties or influential groups to strengthen power and promote the dominant ideology. Patronage also plays a key role, where political appointments and economic benefits are used to secure the support of elites and influential actors. Economic repression is another facet of political manipulation. Control over economic resources allows for the favoring of businesses and individuals loyal to the regime, and the penalization of those who oppose it. Economic sanctions are also used as a tool to exert pressure on regions or groups that do not support the dominant ideology. In a narrower sense, the concept of ideology concerns cultural patterns of interpretation and social practices that contribute to justifying and maintaining social injustice and oppression. To silence all opposition, already in the 1950s, the word conspiracy theorist was invented as the one and only response to those who ask legitimate questions and whose ideology has no answer for. Ultimately, an ideology can be a force for good, but only if it is guided by justice and ethics. Let's stay open, critical, and ready to dialogue to build a better world.